Hello, Lee Arnold clients, private money brokers, and the real estate investment world. This is Brandon Jolly. I am the coaching manager and broker advisor for Cogo Capital. And this is the December 3rd Broker Playbook. Now, we've got a lot to cover, short amount of time, but a lot of you guys have loved the format that we've been doing recently on these Broker Playbook webinars. And we're not going to change them anytime soon. And last month, we did the webinar featuring Mr. Justin Lundy. And Justin talked about DSCR loans. And a lot of you had uh, reached out and had basically begged for more information about DSCR loans. But a lot of it was about how we can find how you can find the leads, but also how to be able to potentially work them as you go. Now, that's a topic that I'm very well versed in, but there's always a great when you can learn from more people. So I brought in one of my favorite coaches that we have. There's not a coach that we have that I would trust more to be able to teach this subject and help me be able to work it than with Mr. Isaiah Watkins, who is on with us. Isaiah, how are you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you, Brandon?
Oh, I'm doing phenomenal. Thank you so much for asking. Well, I know we've got a few people trickling in right now, so if you wouldn't mind, just take us through who Isaiah is, well, your background, what got you investing, brokering. Give us the whole background to you.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you asking. Really excited to be here with you guys. Like Brandon said, my name's Isaiah Watkins. I've been with Lee Arnold and the Lee Arnold system for quite some time now. I originally started in office as a business consultant. I know a lot of you guys have worked with consultants, so I was someone sitting in that seat. And then I branched off to be a full-time investor. I'm now a real estate investor, a private money broker. I'm also a real estate agent, a part of the Lee Arnold team. So I wear quite a few different hats within the field of real estate. But truthfully, you guys, to sum me up in a nutshell, I am a product of the Lee Arnold system. I went through the same webinars that you guys are going through now. I've been through the same courses that you guys have been through, and I just was someone who trusted the process and made it work for myself. Up until the point where I now get the absolute honor and blessing to get to now coach and mentor people just like yourselves through their real estate investing journey. And I just couldn't be more proud and happy of how the life trajectory has taken me since becoming a part of the Lee Arnold system. It's completely changed my life. So that's why I just feel so incredibly fortunate to get to change other people's life doing the same exact thing. So that's a little bit about me, my background. I'm also a newer dad. My daughter just turned 15 months the other day. So I've been a dad now for the last year and a half almost. I'm married. I'm local here in the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area. I was born and raised in Spokane, which is about a 30-minute drive to the west of Coeur d'Alene. If you've ever been, it's a very beautiful area. But just spent a lot of time in the Pacific Northwest. So that's why I'm proud to call it home. But yeah, it's a little bit about myself. Did I answer your questions, Brandon?
Oh, that's perfect. Now, I'm just going to let you know there's might be a small chance, Isaiah, that I drop off. So I might be like popping back in here in just a second. My computer just gave me a notification that it's going to force a restart on me because I was a bad boy and didn't restart my computer for a couple of weeks. So if I drop off, I apologize for everybody that's on. But there was a question that I always tell everybody there's a larger story behind what got you started, right? Your why, where you came from, your background prior to that, right? And you're more than just the coach and more than just the investor, right? Um, so that everybody kind of knows what got you to this point, because everybody's got their own story. What's your story that led up to it?
Yeah, you guys, kind of the cool, unique thing about me is I've got zero background in real estate prior to this. I mean, it wasn't even something that really crossed my radar. I have a master's degree in exercise science, so I know very little about business. My goal prior to this was to work with athletes to help them rehabilitate and get them back onto the playing field. And I was incredibly passionate about that. And I still love, love, love doing things in that capacity. But truthfully, Brandon, to answer your question, which is a tremendous question, my why, just like a lot of you guys have your why, my dad is actually what I call the hardest worker I've ever met. I mean, all the way growing up with my dad, he was the unbelievable example of what it is to put on your hard hat every single day and go through life working one job, long hours, long days, building up a pension, doing all the things that they say the quote unquote American dream is built on. When I was in college studying, my dad unfortunately suffered a heart attack. And then my stepmom, right after him, suffered the same exact fate. And my dad was someone who did not believe in debt. He was someone who really prides himself on having no debt. So he pulled out just about all of the money he had in retirement to pay medical bills and all the expenses that come with large catastrophic incidents like that. And it left him with just about nothing at the end of his retirement, and someone really struggling to figure out how do I retire with the life that I once had. And I've worked my whole career. I've worked my whole life with the same company and did that. And that was my big wake up moment into understanding that there's just gotta be a better way to this American system than going through college, working with one company your whole life. Not to say that's a bad way to do it, but that's what really led me into real estate. Because I knew that there was a lot of people making a lot of money in real estate, and I just started infinitely curious as to why. Why are people so successful at this? Who are the people that are making the most money doing it? And what can I do to learn from them? And that's what drove me to starting a career with Lee Arnold and the Lee Arnold system and just being that annoying fly that's buzzing by all these successful investors, asking tons of questions. Why? If you ever talk to Lee and you ever ask him about me, he's going to tell you that I met with him very frequently when I first got started. Lee opened his door and said, whoever wants to meet with me, do it. And I was someone who I was in there consistently asking tons of questions, probably annoying the heck out of him, but it was something that I knew I wanted to do. And I wanted to work with people who were really successful at doing it. And I just simply followed the process, kind of like I said before. So that's my bigger purpose, my bigger reason why. Um, all of everything I do is centered around my faith, which is something obviously, as you guys know, that is Lee holds close to him. So it just kind of felt like a match. I knew I was in the right place. I knew this is who I wanted to learn from. And so that's what I did.
I love that story because one of my biggest pieces of advice that I give my coaching clients is if you want to get the most out of mentorship with me, is you need to bug the heck out of me. You need to be that annoying fly that just won't leave me alone. And when Isaiah said it, I remember watching him go into Lee's office, but he wasn't only just asking Lee, he was asking Mr. Gary Myers. He was asking me for help. You and I probably met together probably a good 10 times in early on in your business just to be able to get the foundation set, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things that our clients just don't do enough of, right? Is they're not asking enough of the questions. Because I know for a fact you love when a question is asked of you, right? It because it helps you be able to help them get to a point where you're at. But also, one of the things I absolutely love is when a question's asked, if I don't have the answer, right, that's an opportunity for me as a coach and a mentor to grow. And so, but so I'm going to tell everybody from Isaiah and myself, you guys had heard from Justin, you've heard from Gary, you've had from Brian, a lot of our other coaches. Ask those questions because Isaiah wouldn't be here talking with you guys today if he didn't ask the questions. And he's still asking those questions on a day-to-day basis. And I still ask those questions. So for everybody out there, ask the questions, reach out, make sure that you're getting time with us as we're telling you can. So I love your background and your why because it's something that you notice that a lot of our clients go through on a daily basis. All right, when you're a business consultant, how many times did you come across somebody that said, "My retirement got eaten up because of health issues," or "It hasn't gone the way that I'd hope," right? And I think that that's something that there's probably a bunch of people here going, "Yep, that's me." And I'd say right now, obviously, you're a young buck. You're a few years my junior, right? But I doubt that you're ever going to have to worry about that, right?
Correct. I mean, that's one of the big purposes that led me down this path is number one, I wanted to make sure that my kids and my grandkids and their grandkids could potentially inherit something from me that was, from my stewardship of being a good steward of God's resources. So I wanted to make sure that that was something I could accomplish. But you're 100% correct. I wanted to make sure that regardless of my income, regardless of what happened, if I was working a W-2 or for myself or anything like that, that me and my family, my wife could all retire comfortably and make sure that we are living a lifestyle that was what we wanted. So it was 100% one of the biggest reasons I went into real estate investing is because there's just so many different ways you can make money in real estate that regardless of which path you go down, there's a lot more opportunity if you do it the right way. So there's always going to be an opportunity in front of you if you just keep knocking on doors, which is one of the big reasons I decided to go down this path.
I love that. Now, as we know, kind of transitioning from the reasons why, right? We always have to have a good reason why we're doing something. Because there's that my favorite thing that I say in broker certification is if your reason for doing this is just money, go work at McDonald's, right? You can make sometimes you can make more money working at McDonald's than you will the initial first part of opening up an investing or a brokering business. But once I say that, right, that kind of proves the point. But then we get into, okay, what do you have to have? Right? What do you where you get started at? Now, last month was our DSCR loan webinar, right? And where that was one of the best receptions for everybody here. You guys, if you attended last month, uh, comment below if you loved that webinar, right? And just tell Charlie and I that you loved it because we want to know. But the big thing that and my computer just told me, Isaiah, here in like a minute, it's going to shut me down. So I'm going to give you this and let you run with it for a minute until I can jump back on. We need to have two things, leads and sales, right? So we got to generate leads. So while my computer is doing its thing and I jump on like another 2 or 3 minutes down the road, can you start talking with everybody about marketing specifically to attract the clients that can get a good DSCR loan and maybe even recap what a DSCR is so that the people that may have not had a chance to watch the webinar from last month be able to understand where we need to get that or why we need those loans and then proceed forward with how we can get them.
No, that sounds good. I mean, you guys, the reason Brandon and the reason why us as an organization are talking about DSCR loans is because it is what we project is going to be critically important for broker success in the future. Because of what we see in the market and what we anticipate coming in 2026. You guys, there is more equity stuck in properties right now than we've ever seen in US history. And people are going to start tapping into that equity right as the rates start to drop. How many, if you can, put in the chat? Last night, Lee had a Live with Lee webinar where he talked about what's to come in 2026. If you were there, just put a thumbs up or something in the chat that said you were there. And he talked about the importance of what a DSCR was and why it's going to be what helps our brokers moving forward. Well, that's the reason we're putting on these webinars. It's the reason why Cogo Capital is starting to polish its DSCR loans and why we're starting to branch bigger and bigger when it comes to DSCR because a lot more landlords are going to start tapping into equity. They're going to need to refinance because they've had this equity that's trapped and it's been trapped now for a couple of years. If you guys didn't know, only almost 80% of people hold a 3 to 3.5 interest rate currently, whether that's on your primary or in an investment property. Well, as you guys know, rates are sitting at 6.5 to 7%. So to convince a landlord to get out of their 3% interest rate to get into a 7% interest rate and almost double their monthly payment is really, really difficult. So that number that Lee talked about last night, that 5.5% interest rate, is what we anticipate is going to flood the market with buyers. And when that happens, you've got to be well equipped with your verbiage of how to find these borrowers that are going to need to be tapping into their equity. But more importantly, how do you find the people that are going to need a DSCR loan? Okay. Which is why Brandon brought to the topic because he hit it on the head. You guys, if you don't have leads, then you don't have sales. If you don't have sales, you don't have revenue. If you don't have revenue, you don't have a business. And so leads are critically important to your funnel and how to attract opportunity because I'm just like Lee is saying, and we utter it as real estate agents all the time in our meetings. The market is going to really shift here in the next quarter one, quarter two of next year because interest rates are going to keep dropping. And when that happens, you're going to see a flood of buyers. And the people who are prepared to maximize on that opportunity are going to be the ones that reach that six-figure mark that a lot of people are striving for. So that's the whole purpose of us even talking about DSCR. It's why we're continually bringing this to the top of your guys' mind, is because it is really important for you to get really confident in not only how do you present a DSCR loan, but how do you attract the opportunity? How do you even find the people looking for DSCR? And if you can start getting in front of that and start educating your clients as a broker, you're going to really put yourself in a really, really good position in 2026, which is exactly what we want from you. So it's really important, and why we're going to talk about it in depth today about the lead generation strategies, because the better you can find these landlords and these people, investors needing a debt coverage loan, the more better off you're going to be in your business in 2026.
Perfect. Well, it seems like my computer got restarted pretty darn quick there, and I love where I came in at. So since let's talk about that messaging, that where we should be doing marketing. So from your experience, because I know that you've done a few of these, and your clients have been pretty darn successful at getting these in the past, right? Where would you recommend that everybody that's watching starts their marketing to be able to get a DSCR?
Well, from my experience, as well as what's working best for the clients that I mentor and coach, Facebook seems to be the number one lead generation tool that you have access to. It's just today's day and age, you guys. The better you can get at facilitating deals through Facebook and sourcing your leads through Facebook, the better off your business is going to be. And who knows what it'll look like 10 years from now. But today's day and age, we're sitting in that social media age. And if you can find your leads through social media, you're going to set yourself up to find high quality leads. Now, there are a lot of ways to market yourself as a private money broker, you guys. Every good marketer will tell you the whole thing is trial and error. That's what the best marketers do in this world at the highest level, is they know how to test and retest and fail and win and fail and win. And so you might come into weeks where social media just dries up and things just aren't working anymore. The same message, what worked 2 weeks ago, may not be working anymore. So you switch up your messaging, but you still stick with the consistency of any marketing strategy that you come into. So my encouragement, number one, is get really, really good at sourcing leads through social media, because it continues to be the number one lead generation tool, at least from my perspective. And secondly, don't be afraid to hit the phones. I mean, if leads start drying up on your organic marketing strategies, then you need to get online and you need to start calling through as many leads as you possibly can, which we're going to go through, luckily, through things like Dealio Pro. I see a couple of you guys put that in the chat. But things like tools like Dealio Pro, you'll never run out of leads, or you shouldn't run out of leads. And if you are, then it's probably because you're not filtering them or sourcing them the right way. So if you are struggling to find leads, you got to get over your fear of being on the phone, because that's always going to be your fallback, is getting on the phone, talking to as many people as you possibly can. What I can tell you with the utmost certainty, you guys, from my perspective as a coach, is that the brokers that spend consistently the most time on the phone are always the ones that close the most deals. And it's always because this business, this industry, this real estate industry is about person to person. It's really hard to do it over email, over text, over messaging. You got to get up, you got to pick up the phone, you got to meet with them in person, you got to strategize and have online meetings like this. Whatever you got to do to get face to face is going to set you up long term for success. So, like Brandon was saying earlier, I mean, really sourcing the leads is going to be the top part of the funnel, but at the end of the day, you still got to convert them into a closed loan, which is where getting on the phone is going to really help that.
Yeah, and amazing advice there. And so the let's say the person to me that goes and how do I put this? The greedy person in me is sitting here. I know how I do my marketing to get these style of leads and all that when it comes to social media. Because it's no secret. I tell everybody I get 90, probably 95% of my leads from social media, from LinkedIn, from Facebook, Instagram, and even sometimes even TikTok. But if we're talking, you said Facebook is really that big one that you had talked about. Where should they look within Facebook? Or maybe you can even show us if you can share your screen where you would look for some or how you would market within Facebook to uh, to find some of these leads or uh, be able to potentially generate an opportunity there.
I mean, within Facebook, you guys, for a lot of you who have gone through our certified private money broker training, you guys understand the importance of joining groups and getting connected within lenders groups and different Facebook groups surrounding the field of real estate investing. And I encourage you to continue to do the same. Now, the one piece of advice I would give you is that within those groups, you guys, you really can waste a lot of time if you're not really strategizing and time blocking your day to
Mhm.
limit the amount of time that you're spending in Facebook. Facebook, as much of a great tool as it can be in lead generation, it also can be a massive time waster if you're not doing it correctly. So, first thing I would say is you need to time block a certain amount of time to consistently finding leads in Facebook and then be done with it. Move on to the next task. Okay. So, that's my advice for number one. Secondly, when you're in those groups in Facebook, what I would recommend and what you're looking for, sorry, let me back up. What you're looking for is as many buyers as you can possibly come across. Buyers, people who are buying properties, doesn't matter the property. Because what we know going through our training is that money is attracted to opportunity, not to people. So if they've got a good deal in front of them, you can find the funding for them. So you're looking for as many buyers as you possibly can. Well, in my experience as a buyer myself, if I were going to find a property on social media to buy and it wanted to search for properties for sale, where would I go? I would go to the off-market groups because the off-market groups, the off-market wholesale groups, off-market property groups, those are going to be where people post the deals for sale. And then I'm going to go in there, shop the deal that I'm looking for, and I'm going to comment under those posts that say, yeah, I'm interested in this one. What can you do? So in there is where you can find a ton of buyers, you guys, the people that you need to represent as their broker. You go in there, you send them a direct message. The people that are commenting said, hey, I love this home for sale. Tell me more about it. Those comments are the goal. Those are the ones that you know for certain are people looking to buy. So you can, with high expectation, go and message them and give them whatever message you want. And that's where you can find not only people who are buying and flipping, you'll find tons of people who are buying and holding. You'll find a ton of multifamily buyers. So you can find a ton of buyers just doing it that way. Of course, I'm not discouraging anyone from continuously going into the lenders groups and finding the people that are saying, hey, this is the property I have for sale, or this is the property I'm buying. What kind of loan can you offer me? Of course, like continue to go to those ones. Those are the lowest hanging fruit. But for the people that I work with who do that other section of going into the buyers groups at a high level, they tend to yield the highest results when it comes to lead generation because you're attracting people who you have high certainty are buyers. So, firstly, again, if you're going to go in through this and do it yourself through Facebook, like please time block this because if you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day in Facebook, you're missing a high with excuse me, you're missing a big portion of what you need to do in terms of lead generation. And secondly, you guys start going into those buyer groups in Facebook.
I love that you said the buyers, right? If we're doing this style loan, DSCR, right? DSCR, right? It's a glorified rental loan if we're oversimplifying this, right? Well, where you get a rental loan one of two ways. It's the person has bought a property and they've fixed it up and they're going to turn it into a rental, or they've already got a rental and they are potentially needing to refinance it to pull some cash out, something along those lines, right? And so I love it. Go after the buyers, go after the ones that are actually doing the deals. One of my favorite, and I'd love your thoughts on this one. I love going after the ones that I know work with those. So one of my favorite strategies is to approach real estate agents and approach wholesalers that are have been very clearly in this business for a while. Because if they're in those groups and you can see them active in these groups, there's a good chance they know a real estate investor that's recently bought a deal. There's a good chance that they've maybe even been a part of a transaction where they know that they're going to need a new deal, right? Sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, you really you hit a really big nail there because a massive part of what you guys should be doing on a weekly basis is networking, and it's reaching out to real estate investors, not real estate investors, but real estate professionals. And you can get really good at sourcing leads through other professionals if you know how to find them, not only find them, but what do you offer them? The big piece of networking, you guys, and this is something I learned in my one-on-one meetings with Lee, is anytime you're in a networking situation, anytime you're talking to another investor or you're talking to another real estate agent or whoever is in the field of real estate, it's about what can you do for them and what can they do for you. And it's a win-win scenario all the time. The people that go into those meetings trying to source leads from other investors or other professionals, they really come out of it with absolutely nothing because people don't care, or sorry, what is the saying? People
People
don't
don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly. Thank you. And that's really important as you shift your mindset going into these meetings is you should make sure that they are aware that their business is at the front of your mind and your business is at the front of your mind as well. So it's how can they win? How can they help you? And how can you guys win together? So when you're going into those meetings with real estate agents, as a private money broker, you guys of course, every agent wants to work with a high quality funding source because the agent gets paid when the deal closes. Trust me, I'm an agent myself. I welcome as many funding discussions as I possibly can. I've got meetings set up with new MLOs, new brokers all the time, you guys. And I would recommend that you start doing it the same way. You can contact your local real estate agents, not only for local information within your real estate market, but you can also do it across the country, which is a cool thing about brokering private money is you can find in those hot areas, those big markets, really successful realtors. But here's the key: you have to find realtors that are investor friendly. There are plenty of realtors out there, you guys, that only represent buyers and sellers, which is okay. That works for them, but it's not really going to help you because they only work with homeowners. So you got to make sure that they work with investors and that they're investor friendly. So that way, when you approach them, you know that they have the people that you're looking for, which is real estate investors. Okay. And Brandon also mentioned a really key component of networking, which is wholesalers. I group wholesalers and contractors in the same networking pillar. Okay. I'm going to give you a small insight into my one-on-ones with clients. Half of our day, a big part of one of our days that we spend together is centered around networking. And there's three pillars that I say are critically important to your network as you build it. The first
Everybody
is
write these down.
Yeah, thank you. The first, you guys, is lending sources, whether that's MLOs who represent homeowners, and whether that's other lenders out there who can fund more deals for you. Okay. Those are in the same pillar, the lending pillar. The next pillar is real estate agents, and as many real estate agents as you can find. Okay. The third and final pillar is off-market investors. Okay. In those three pillars, you can get a lot of leads and you can send a lot of leads to within that group. How are they winning? Well, they're getting your business as the lending source. When you fund deals, when you bring loans to those lenders, they win. That's how they get paid. The same as you in the lending source. So when lenders get deals from you, they fund the deal, they make their money, you get paid. It's a win-win scenario. MLOs, same thing. If you work with an MLO and you send them a lead who's looking for a home loan that you can't help, but they can, they're going to fund the deal, they're going to win. The investors that they're working with, who they don't know about private money, the majority of MLOs, you guys do not know what private money is or how to broker it. And so they will send you investor leads all the time. So how do they win? Again, you send them your leads, you get their leads. For real estate agents, we already talked about it. When you fund a deal for them, they get paid. That's how a real estate agent wins. So you're both getting paid the same time the day the loan closes. And lastly, off-market investors. Off-market investors need funding. I group wholesalers and contractors together because the majority of off-market investors would love the opportunity to flip a house. They just don't know where the money comes from. They have no idea how to source money, you guys. It was just like you before you met the Lee Arnold system and you were unfamiliar with private money. They're in the same sense. They just don't know how to get the funding. So if you find people who work on these off-market properties like contractors or wholesalers who are buying and assigning contracts through off-market transactions, and you start to work with them, you will get a lot of off-market deals funded. And by the way, you guys, those are the best deals to fund because they have the most equity. So those are a big component of what your business should represent. And if you network the right way, you will get a ton of leads going that way.
And here's what I love just to, if you do so good, and I love that you broke it into the pillars, right? A pillar holds things up, it creates a good foundation for your walls and everything else. But what I love about every single one of those pillars that you broke up, right, is they all have the ability to create referral opportunities for you. Real estate investors talk to other real estate investors. They say, hey, my funding source did this. Wholesalers will refer, contractors refer. And you've got MLOs. They'll talk to other MLOs and say, hey, I sent this over here and they were able to get it done, right? Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you can expand out on those four, and it makes it so much easier to be able to do that. And going back to one of the first original points that you made, right? It's all about them. It's never about you in this situation. It's how you can make them more money. Because I think it's a foregone conclusion. If you're talking about how I can make you more money, they're going to understand that you're going to get something out of it. You're just not going to do something for free just because you enjoy helping, right? But if it's all about them and their success, they'll gladly return the favor to you.
Yeah, I agree. You guys, again, the emphasis anytime you're networking is what can you do for me and what can I do for you? And it's finding a middle ground, a common ground of how can we do this together? And if you just keep that in the front of your mind, good things will happen within networking. Now, again, you guys, networking can again be one of those things that you waste a lot of time because there's a lot of pieces within a transaction of real estate, and it's about finding the people that are serious enough to do this and can give you leads and you can return the favor. So within networking, again, really get good at sifting through and meeting with a lot of people. It's why there's two per week. I mean, it's critically important to your success within the rule of 54, 55, 56, whatever you're focusing on. It's important that you get those two networking events, and it doesn't have to be these big, massive events that you go down to the local hotel banquet rooms and you sit there and you just exchange cards with people. It can be a 15 to 30-minute lunch that you set up with a real estate agent or a lender or another MLO in your area or one of those other pieces that I talked about. It can be something simple like that where you're exchanging information and more importantly, you're talking about what's the win-win scenario for us all.
And I mean, the sky is the limit, and realistically, for the amount of and creative ways that you can do networking, right? There's one of our other coaches. His name is Dana. A few of you that are on right now might know Dana. And one of Dana's favorite strategies to network as a real estate investor is he'll go around driving around town trying to find um, the mail carriers. And he'll go in and he'll pull over next to a mail carrier and say, "Hey, real quick, uh, do you know of any properties in the area that look run down? Or do you know of any properties that have like some signs up front that are showing that they're real estate investors?" Right? And he'll ask for those addresses and create relationships with these mail carriers because they're out and about and they know these things, right? So these don't have to be big, grandiose things. They can be a quick little 2 to 3 minute, 5 minute conversation, right? And they don't have to be something you're taking hours upon hours to do, but they need to be very focused on the point of growing somebody else's business and also see how they can help yours, right? So I want everybody to think, because Isaiah has seen this as much as I do, that the part of the rule of 54 that's not hit the most oftentimes is the networking, right? And it's because just like what he said earlier, right? You've got to call people because that's one of the best ways to close loans, right? But you've got to be able to meet with people. This is a person-to-person business no matter what. Now, with that being said, I do want to kind of transition away from this a little bit, Isaiah, because one of the biggest things, and I told you this is something that I was hoping that you could do for everybody here, and it's been an ask for a couple months, is using Dealio Pro, some of the best tips and tricks that us as coaches have to be able to generate leads from such a great platform. So, would you mind sharing your screen for everybody and showing some of the things about Dealio that you know that you think would be beneficial for them to use and how they can generate some leads for DSCRs off that?
Yeah, certainly. I would love to. You guys, having something like Dealio Pro now, before I joined the Lee Arnold system, I was very familiar with quite a few different lead generation tools or CRMs, whatever you want to call them. And what I can say, and this is as unbiasedly as I possibly can, the power of Dealio Pro, it surpasses a lot of these other platforms out there. And the cool thing about it, you guys, is it's very specific to the Lee Arnold system. It's what Lee has crafted and designed to help our clients and our students that are following our system, where it's not just a generic lead generation tool, it's very specific as to what we focus on, specifically as brokers as well. So it's really something that I highly encourage you to use every single day. Now, I'm going to show you through a specific lead type that I instruct all of my brokers to use because it really saves time. Okay. To break things down for you, and before we really dive into this, there's a lot of ways that you can find deals for personal investment. You can find borrowers, but the most common are through either a property search or through an investor search. Okay. Now, I'm going to take you through the investor lead type simply for the fact that it's going to save you the most amount of time. As a broker, you guys, like I told you before, you're trying to get in contact with as many buyers of real estate properties as you possibly can. Okay. And searching through the property lead type it's not impossible to do it that way. I'm not discouraging you to do it that way. However, you're going to have to sift through more leads because you're not only finding investors, you're also finding homeowners. So you're going to get in contact with homeowners and you're going to get in contact with real estate investors. Whereas searching through the investor lead type, you're going to get in contact with investors. And so you're going to be talking to the people that you want to be talking to and more of them. So what I'm going to show you is how to find these types of investors searching through your investor lead type. So right now I'm on the dashboard. As you guys have seen, it'll look something like this. You're going to go over to your lead pipes, and under here is this cool little tab that says investor leads. Okay. So you can hear what I was talking about. There's property leads, commercial leads, and investor leads. Okay. You're going to click on investor lead types.
And
And
Isaiah, would you be able to blow your screen up a little bit
oh,
just so
sure.
that everybody that might be harder of seeing to be able to view it a little bit better? That's
How's that? Is
perfect.
that better?
That's good.
Okay. So I clicked on the investor lead type and now I'm on this main page and we got to tell it what to do, obviously. So I'm just going to search my local area. Now, the cool thing about brokering, again, you guys, you can do this all across the country. So what I would recommend, part of your networking, if you're not a licensed real estate agent, you guys, get in contact with a licensed real estate agent who can consistently tell you which are the top real estate investing markets in the country. Okay. Real estate agents have access to nationwide statistics and they can feed you the hot markets that you can be targeting as a private money broker to attract those real estate investors in those areas. So I'm just going to search our local area, Spokane, Washington. But that's not to say that you can't do this all across the country, is what I'm trying to get at here. So I'm going to look locally and then I'm going to come over here to our filters. Now, what you'll notice in the filters type when you're searching through just investors is it's a lot less type, a lot lower amounts of filters. Okay, you can't sort them quite as much as you can in the property type, and that's by design. Because as you're looking, you'll see there's just four different types of investors that we're trying to target. There's flippers, those are people that move properties quickly. There's landlords, those are the ones that are holding properties. There's note holders, the ones that are funding deals privately. And then there's those private lenders who are very similar to note holders, just in a different capacity. Okay. So if we're talking about DSCR, if you guys remember back to the webinars that you came across, we're looking for long-term owners of properties, investment properties. So filters like flippers not going to help us because if we're trying to attract DSCR, we need something like landlord because, like Brandon said, in layman's term, a DSCR is a landlord loan. Okay. So I'm going to click on landlord. And then I like to, as you can see down here, it shows your results. Came up with 16,000 different leads, 16,000 different landlords just in Spokane, Washington. Okay. So I like to filter it down quite a bit. So I'll come into this portfolio size and I'm going to look very specifically at different types of landlords that own smaller amounts of properties. Okay. Now, in a second here, I'm going to show you a few different marketing pieces that you can start attracting these specific types of leads, you guys. But I don't try to go after the people that own thousands of doors because chances are they're doing okay. They probably don't need private money. They may need it, but chances are you talk to them and they probably already have a funding source or they're just doing everything cash. Okay. So the types of investors in here can be limitless. They can own thousands of pieces of real estate. So I sort by portfolio size. So let's say I wanted to find a landlord who owned at least one property, but no more than two properties or two doors. Okay. I'm not sure why I didn't go through. Let's try it now. So that cut us down to 14,000. So you can see that there are quite a few people within this particular lead type that are within that category. So let's say I wanted to do people who owned two doors. Now we're at 1,400. Okay. So you're getting the point. I'm trying to filter this down into a reasonable amount of leads because I need to start talking to them. I need to start calling them. Okay. So let's just stick it with two and two. So if we look at these results, you guys, have you noticed this first one? You notice what that says? It says Hammond Properties LLC. Okay. These are trusts, they're LLCs, they're people who are business owners or some sort of investor that we can deduce from this particular lead type because there's someone who owns multiple properties, at least two. So each one of these are going to own two properties. We don't know what it is for certain yet. We don't know, are they single family? Is it a multifamily? We don't know until we get on the phone with them. But this is a great way to find leads and a bunch of them at a time. Now you can sort these down and continue to do them by portfolio value, average purchase price. If you're looking through the Cogo box, you guys, you can sort it down by Cogo box. But realistically, you can find a lot of investors really, really quick. Let's just say I wanted to click on this first one. Okay. And it's going to give you an insight of their property type. So you can see this one, average purchase price, 6 million. Is that in the Cogo box? No. So it's going to be a little bit tougher to, get those smaller types of investors when you're looking at that type of average purchase price. But you're getting the point, right? You can find a lot of leads really, really quickly just by going in through Dealio and finding DSCR type investors who we know own properties long term because they're landlords. We know that they have properties that they own, that they're cash flowing. And that's exactly what we're trying to offer. Now, when we're getting in contact with these investors, you're not going at it from a sense of, hey, I saw you on my lead generation tool, just wanted to know if you had an interest in a DSCR loan. Okay. When you're starting to talk to these people and you start making these calls as part of your rule of 54, you need to go at it very similar to how you would a networking event. You know, you're trying to call up these other businesses and see, do you have any needs for growing your real estate portfolio? I've got a script I'll show you here in a second, but when you're calling through these outbound leads, you guys, really the focus is on them. I see that you own two properties right now. Do you have any coming through the pipeline that you need funding for? How can I help you grow your rental portfolio? What do you need of currently? What is your business lacking right now? Those types of questions that are eliciting pain points and trying to understand what it is that they need is going to help you understand what it is you can provide to solve those issues. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
So what I'm going to do, you guys, is let's say we called up one of these leads. Okay. I'm going to switch over here really quick and I'm going to show you just very quickly what a typical voicemail might sound like. Okay, if you were calling one of these leads. Now, it's something like, "Hey Steve, this is Isaiah with Watkins Funding. I hope you're doing well today. I'm giving you a call because I have a couple questions about your it's supposed to be rental portfolio currently and wanted to see if I could help grow it for you. Give me a call back if you have a moment at 509-903-5012. Again, this is Isaiah with Watkins Funding. You can reach me at 509-903-5012. I look forward to connecting soon." Okay. Why you might have it sound a voicemail like that is because it gives you enough information of why you're calling, but also not too much information why they're not going to call you back. Okay. If you get really specific in your voicemails, it's going to let them determine right then and there if they're going to call you back or not when they listen to the voicemail. So I gave this person enough information as to why I was calling, but I left it pretty vague, you guys. I just said, I have a couple questions about your rental portfolio. The next question I know you just thought of as I paused there was, well, what type of questions does he have? So now what are they going to do? They're going to pick up the phone and call me back because now they want to know, what do I want to know? And so that's when you can get on the phone with them and start to ask those questions that I was talking about. So you leave it broad enough where it elicits a response from this person to at least call you back. Now, they could call you back. You could say, hey, this is Isaiah of Watkins Funding, click, and they're going to hang up. But at least they called you back because they were interested in knowing what you were interested in. Okay. So that's just a simple script. I would screenshot it if you guys have it. Now, scripting, you guys, is no different than any other marketing piece. It's trial and error. So you may go through this voicemail and it may work really, really well. And you use it and you use it and use it. And you're getting a ton of callbacks and a ton of lead capturing from this. And then there might be weeks no one calls you back. And then guess what you do? You switch the script. And then you keep track of which script is working, which script isn't working, and you constantly change it around. But this one is what I have seen to be the best producer of getting leads called back because it just leaves it pretty vague and allows people to think, well, I wonder what he's interested in. Well, let me just call him back really quick. Okay. And now
And
you've got an opportunity to
Isaiah,
call back.
what I love about this is one of my favorite phrases is that people buy on emotion, but justify with logic. This voicemail that he put for everybody there, that it creates the emotion of curiosity. Right. And so what is curiosity going to do? It's going to make them call, right? We want to try to get in the voicemails, we want to try to get something as a point of an emotion, excitement, curiosity, and maybe a little trepidation in there, right? Like, oh, hey, I need to call him back because I might need something, right? We want to do something that voicemail does it ever so perfectly. So hopefully you guys took the screenshot of that because that's not something that we have in the membership website and it may not be something that we may ever give out, but it's something that is a great one. So sorry I interrupted there. I just wanted to make sure that I said that for everybody. So uh, oh, you got on mute there. There you are.
Sorry. I always forget to do that. No, I appreciate you clarifying that. Another one, kind of like Brandon was mentioning, is urgency. You guys, I also use, especially as I'm buying properties now, like I told you earlier, I don't only just broker loans, but I also buy properties on the investing side. And one of the best scripts that I use on the investing side is all centered around urgency. So I'll call, kind of like Brandon was saying, kind of a little bit frantically and say, hey, I see your property at 123 Main Street. I had just had a question. It's really urgent. Can you call me back? And then I'll leave my phone number and hang up. Almost always get a call. Now, of course, you might upset a couple people because they might think that you're really there's an emergency there, but did I get what I was trying to accomplish? A call back 100%. So you could do the same thing for this particular instance, right? Sorry, Steve, I was just calling you based on your rental portfolio. I'm sorry to bother you. It's kind of urgent. Can you call me back at 509-903-5012? Thanks. They're going to go, oh, smokes. What's going on? And they're going to call you. And now you say, and that's when you get into the conversation side of things and you start asking these questions, right? The goal of a voicemail, you guys, is to get them to call you back. Whatever you got to do it, right? If your main focus as a broker is to help your clients, as the fiduciary of a broker, you're working in that person's best interest. And if I am genuine when I say I want to help this client grow their portfolio loan, I am going to do everything I can to get them to call me because chances are they want to not only own two properties, they want to own four because they have kids and they have grandkids. And they've got all of these reasons centered around why they want to grow their rental portfolio. And I'm genuine when I say the person on the end of the phone, I am just infinitely curious about their situation because I know that I can help them. And when you start thinking of it and you start putting that piece in your head, it really helps your phone conversations because now you're willing to invest the time to do everything you can to get that person to call you back. And it's how you can consistently win deals. I love looking for new landlords who want to grow their rental portfolio because the things that they will tell you as to why they're looking to grow their portfolio are just unbelievable if you talk to enough of them. People have so many good reasons to wanting to invest in real estate and I love connecting with them because I love helping them do it. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting on the phone with people and talking to them is because it will absolutely change their life the more people you help. And that's what I'm really, really passionate about. So when you're leaving voicemails and you're texting people and you're going through the just redundant tasks of the Rule of 54, just don't lose focus in that. Keep that at the heart of your conversation because you will help so many more people when you think of it that way, rather than how can I get paid as a broker? How
Hmm.
can I help this person on the phone? That's all I care about. And that's why when I leave voicemails, people call me back because they're like, holy smokes, this guy's really crazy. I need to talk to him. And then that's when I just ask enough questions. So again, I hope this voicemail helps you guys. Screenshot it. This wasn't something that I, drafted up or anything like that. This is just from personal experience as well as what's working for a lot of the clients that I'm with. Now, another thing I want to show you really briefly is what we've been talking a lot about is outbound leads, right? How do we find leads in Dealio? How do we find landlords that are needing our help? What do we say when we're calling them? That type of stuff. Okay. What I want to, hopefully, if this thing ever works, there we go. Now, one of the best converting lead types is inbound leads. You guys, people that come across your ads, people that come across your text messages, something that elicits a response from them to want to have a conversation with you. So they submit their information uh, on your website, on your social media page, on the ads that you're running, that type of thing. That's what I'm talking about when I say inbound leads. Some of these hooks that I use seem to work pretty well. Specifically, all of this is surrounding around DSCR, you guys. These are all lead types, or excuse me, all hooks that you can find specific leads within the DSCR realm to really help your investors start to grow their portfolios. Okay, so you can see this first one. This just points to, whoops, sorry. This points to the pain points surrounding why most people can't get the funding they're looking for. Okay, so you can see this first one, equity rich but cash flow tight. We unlock the funding. Okay, very quick, very simple. A lot of people right now are equity rich and cash poor, you guys. So that's going to draw a lot of people's attention because they don't really have a solution right now to how do they start tapping into their equity until they talk to who? You, the private money broker. Okay. Great deals slipping away because banks say no. Again, another pain point for a lot of investors because they're so used to conventional funding. They think that banks won't fund them because they don't have a W-2 income. They had a couple things ding their credit, so a bank doesn't want to talk to them, whatever the case may be. But banks, a lot of times, love to say no to landlords because it's a higher risk, something that a conventional bank won't touch. Okay. Tired of underwriting that kills momentum. Again, that's very centered around conventional lending and why people can't get funding when it goes through underwriting. So we keep deals moving forward, right? Now, this one here in the middle, I keep clicking it and it's moving the slide. This middle part here, you guys, is scaling focused. Again, if the goal is to scale a portfolio, you might want to try if your property pays for itself, we can finance it. Multiply doors, not paperwork. More rentals, less red tape, we make it possible. Those are all centered around people who actively have rentals, but they're trying to scale their business. Now, one of the cool statistic that I came across yesterday in a realtor event was the average investor who is trying to grow their portfolio uses a slow method of scaling. So some people, and not some people, a lot of landlords, some of you on this call will buy a property, they'll rehab it, they'll live in it for 2 to 3 years until they're out of whatever criteria they're looking for their FHA loan or something like that. And then they go and buy a new house and they stick a renter in there, and then they live in that new house 2 to 3 years until they can qualify for another FHA loan and they stick a renter in there. Well, if your goal is to buy a rental every 2 to 3 years, with the average door bringing in $500 of cash flow, you guys, what is it realistically going to take for you to replace your income or whatever your goal is for that rental portfolio? A very long time if you're buying it every 2 to 3 years. So if you can get in front of the landlords that are doing it at that cadence and you offer them a solution like private money where they can bring little money down to no money down sometimes, they can buy it using creative financing, you can start to educate your clientele. It's going to help you as you build out your pool of investors because they're used to conventional, they're used to FHA, they're used to doing it the slow method. So things like this scaling are going to be really targeted towards those specific investors. Now, because we're talking about DSCR, we can also be focusing on commercial and multifamily because that falls within the realm of DSCR, you guys. Approval based on performance. Again, that debt servicing, what we're looking for is can the income outweigh the debt on it? So that first one, approval based on performance, that's just aimed at people who are buying a lot of rentals and have high income potential. And then lastly, obviously, commercial cash flow. Let's turn it into capital. Okay. So again, screenshot this because these are great headers that you can use to capture your audience, whether you post it on social media, whether you put it in a header of the ad, whatever you can do to start getting in contact with these investors is going to yield you some good results. So give me a thumbs up in the chat if that makes sense. I'm going to give you another second here to capture the screenshot. Okay. So I'm hoping and praying that a lot of the leads that you're starting to get specifically around DSCR are people that are calling you based on your advertising, based on an outbound marketing piece that you sent them, something that gets them to pick up the phone and call you because those types of leads, you guys, are the highest converting leads because there's someone who's saying, I'm motivated enough to give you my information and have a call with you. Okay. That's not to say that the inbound marketing leads or the outbound marketing leads aren't as high quality or anything like that. It just means that you're going to have a lot less leads that convert into more deals through inbound marketing. So really get really good at capturing people's attention, just like those specific ads that I was talking about, because it will usually get you a pretty good response rate.
And so, Isaiah, that's so much information that to go over, and we're running out of time this afternoon. But I'm guessing, and you and I both know that this is just the tip of the iceberg of what you and I teach our one-on-one clients as we're looking through, and as we're looking for leads to be able to broker and everything. So I want to kind of wrap up with this, and it'll be a question for both you and me. Okay, what is one piece of advice, if you had to narrow it down to just one, that everybody today can take away from what we've talked about?
I mean, it's hard for me to say because I am such an advocate, you guys, for picking up the phone and dialing and getting really good at finding the leads, but not being afraid to call. You guys, I'm telling you, of course, there might be the one-off people who you call and you get in contact with, and they're mad that you called them for whatever reason. They might be having a bad day. You never know. People might have just passed that were in their like you never know someone's situation. So of course you're going to get the people who are angry at you. But the bulk of people, you guys, are thankful for your call because you're just trying to help them. And they're appreciative of your call. There may not be business to be done, but at least they're thankful that you called them that day. So my big piece of advice for everyone, and if I could really just sum up one thing today, it's just don't be afraid to get on the phone and call people, and good things will happen.
I love that. Right, get over the fear. Fear is the really the thing that just prevents everybody from moving forward. If I had to pick one thing, I think in this because I've been monitoring the chat as it's come through, and there's been a lot of great questions that I've seen. Is don't get hung up on the what ifs. Ask yourself, how can I? Right? Because that one of the things that Lee Arnold has taught both Isaiah and I is to not limit yourself based off of what you currently know. And the thing is, you're never going to know enough, right? I don't know everything. Isaiah doesn't know everything. And Lee Arnold, if he was on with us right now, which hey, he might be, Lee, if you're there, you can probably put a thumbs up in the chat. It's probably safe to say that you don't know everything about real estate investment, that you're still constantly learning as well, right? And there's so much that you can learn. So don't limit yourself because you don't know something. Don't let that fear prevent you from approaching something and doing something, right? So I I'm going to leave us with that, but there's still probably so many questions that all of you have. And I want to make sure that Isaiah and I and our team here in the office can get to them. So here's what I'm going to do for you. Everybody that's on right now, I want you in the chat. If you would like to get more information about DSCR loans, if you'd like to get an appointment to talk about how you might be able to individually market to these, if you got questions about Dealio, there's a few of you that said, hey, I'm missing those investor leads, and you want to talk about that. I want you to put DSCR and either loan, appointment, or Dealio. DSCR, loan, appointment, or Dealio. One of those three, put them in the chat, and then Isaiah or myself or one of our team members will reach out to you and talk with you about this a little more to continue to help you grow and position you for success. So, Isaiah, I can't thank you enough for the time that you've invested. And by the responses we're getting, I'm probably going to ask you back to help me out on a future broker playbook if you'd be open to it.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate having me on, Brandon. I just love doing these types of things, you guys. I love doing whatever I can to help you guys grow your business, start your business, scale your business, wherever you're at. I mean, don't be afraid to message myself, Brandon, whoever you got to talk to, because we are truthfully here for your guys' success. I mean, we want to get as much of our money in your hands as we possibly can. And whatever we got to do to help you do that, we're open to. So, thank you for the time, you guys. Thanks for all the questions. I'm glad that I was able to provide some sort of takeaways for a lot of you guys. And if I didn't, I'm sorry. I'm sure I'll talk to you anyways in the future. But thanks again, guys.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Isaiah. For everybody that's on with me, we will see you on the first Wednesday of next month for the inaugural 2026 version of the Broker Playbook. Until then, jump in, watch the recording, do some film study sessions here, and I'll see you next month.